There are so many people who don't believe in manifestation and the law of attraction. And honestly, that's fine. I really don't ever feel the need to convince anyone of anything. The truth is, everyone has their own beliefs, their own opinions, and I completely and totally respect that. But whether or not you believe in manifestation, there are actually facts and evidence based in science, psychology, and quantum physics. If you've been looking for proof, here it is. So in this video, I'm going to share scientific proof on why the law of attraction actually works. This isn't my opinion. This is pure evidence-based facts. Do with it what you will. But when it comes to the law of attraction and manifestation, I like to combine both the scientific practical aspect and the spiritual aspect in my approach. So if you tend to be that person that leans into needing actual tangible proof, then this video is for you. Hello and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Mary Kate and I'm a mindset coach and manifesting expert focused on getting you transformational results. My whole channel is all about manifesting, the law of attraction with meditations and more, where I share the tools you need to get the results you want. I post brand new videos every Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you can get notified whenever I post a new video. And before we get into the video, go ahead and hit that little thumbs up button below if you are ready to see the law of attraction in action. Seriously, just do it and let's get into it. So as I mentioned before, I use manifestation and the law of attraction all the time. And honestly, so do you when you start to pay attention. Because what you focus on tends to happen. There's cognitive bias and actually a part of your brain that reinforces this. So despite whether or not you believe in it or if you're skeptical of it, the law of attraction is always at play and you are always manifesting. Because your brain is always creating and filtering and interpreting your reality. It's literally shaping the world around you. But what you are manifesting comes from so many different factors that I want to get into. Let's start with quantum physics. So in quantum physics, there was a study called the double slit experiment. This is one of the most widely publicized and talked about experiments. So I don't want to go into all of the details and everything about the whole experiment because this video would go on and on and on and on. But if you want to know more about the experiment, exactly what happened, just search double slit experiment on your computer and you can read all about it. But for the sake of time, let me just quickly summarize it. This double slit experiment confirms something called the observer effect, which basically indicates that your very observation of something changes the outcome. This specific study was done with energetic particles and waves, but they've even studied this observer effect on animals and humans. And the simple act of being observed changes the outcome. You act far more differently when someone's watching you versus when you're not being watched. Someone watching you changes the outcome of what you're doing. And this happens to other humans and other animals and other atoms and particles. But essentially, whatever you observe and place your focus on, whether it's your circumstances, your relationships, really anything in your life, you change the outcome of it based on your observation and focus of it. And for the most part, most people tend to focus on the things that they don't like or don't want. That is human nature, that's psychology. But can you imagine the difference if you placed your focus with full faith and assumption that what you want will happen and was definite? Think of the outcome that would come from it. This is exactly what manifestation is. But let's take this even further because this right now ties into something called the law of assumption. Some of you may be familiar with it, some maybe not. I mean, the law of assumption, like I said, I could go on and on about this too. I actually made a different video about it, so I will actually leave a link to it up here and a link down below if you want to know more about the law of assumption. I'm just trying to get this video as concise and detailed as possible without it going on too long. So if you want to go back and watch the law of assumption video, again, the link is down below and up here. But this double slit experiment observer effect directly ties into the law of assumption because the law of assumption states that whatever you believe and assume to be true becomes true. The law of assumption basically means that you are living in the end result. It's an assumption that you fully commit to, just like every other thing that you assume in your life. So once again, through your observation of something and assumption of something, the outcome changes. And it doesn't end there. Let's quickly move into some neuroscience. There's actually this small part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And this is something that I am obsessed on teaching on when it comes to manifesting because not many people talk about it. And I find it absolutely crucial in your ability to manifest on autopilot and manifest automatically. I literally teach an entire module about this inside of my signature program, Abundance Academy. But basically, this reticular activating system's whole purpose is to give you evidence of whatever you place your focus on. Again, with the focus. So this reticular activating system acts as a filter. It helps you stay alive and alert by filtering out any unnecessary information, allowing you to focus on whatever is relevant and important in this moment. If you've ever been in a crowded restaurant, your reticular activating system is what's working to filter out all of that background noise, all of those other conversations happening all around you, allowing you to focus on whoever you are having dinner with and the conversation that you are having. Right now, your reticular activating system is tuning out all of the noises that are going on in your room so that you're focusing on these words. As you're listening to me or as you're in a crowded place, you're not hearing all of these other conversations in detail, even though they're happening. This reticular activating system focuses on what's important and also provides evidence. This is also what's behind the phenomenon where something that you've recently heard or something you've recently Googled starts appearing everywhere. You can blame your reticular activating system for this. Like you decide that you're going to buy a certain type of car in a certain color, maybe color blue, and then suddenly you're seeing this exact car in the color blue everywhere. Your reticular activating system is pulling your focus to something that you fed it. You fed it something that you wanted evidence of, and now you're seeing it everywhere. Do you see how this ties into everything I've shared so far? The observer effect, the law of assumption, this reticular activating system. All of it ties into the main manifestation concept that whatever you focus on expands. If you are focusing on all of this negative stuff and all of the things that you don't want, then that is what will become true for you, regardless of whether or not you believe in the law of attraction. Because this observer effect, as well as your reticular activating system, are going to give you direct evidence of whatever you're focusing on. This isn't some type of like woo-woo spiritual stuff. This is science-based, fact-based research. And I want to quickly touch on one last thing. I promise I could go on and on about this for probably days, all about the science behind manifestation, because I've been practicing this for over a decade, and I just have so much to say about it. But let me just quickly touch on one last thing. This even dives into psychology. In psychology, there's something called cognitive bias. And honestly, most people who don't believe in manifestation and the law of attraction tend to fall into this category that they're just biased against it. So cognitive biases are based on your brain's way of simplifying informational processing. Very similar to what I explained with the reticular activating system. And everyone is affected by cognitive bias. Every single person. Examples of cognitive bias are things like only listening or paying attention to people or news stories that confirm your opinions and beliefs. So in the case of manifesting, if you have a cognitive bias around it, I could teach you and tell you about it all day long, but you're likely going to tune me out because it doesn't support what you think. That's a cognitive bias. Your brain has basically simply made up its mind and doesn't want to process this information because it doesn't agree. Other examples of cognitive biases are things like blaming others or blaming external things when something doesn't go your way, or saying things like people who manifest just got lucky if they manifested something. Oh, it's just luck. And especially if you're one of those people that people refer to as kind of a know-it-all, a cognitive bias is thinking that you know everything about something, because the truth is that's actually impossible. I know a lot about law of attraction and manifestation. I will never, ever be able to say that I know everything. It's impossible. It's impossible to know everything. But all of these cognitive biases are just formed by your programming and your beliefs. You can almost think of them as a stubborn child who's made up their mind, and it's hard, if not impossible, to convince them otherwise because they are set in their ways. I mean, even look at religion. If you were raised in a certain religion, you're biased to other religions because you have different beliefs. Does that make any of them right or wrong? Absolutely not. You just tend to stay committed to things that confirm your bias and your thinking. So the majority of the people who are skeptical of the law of attraction and manifestation tend to either be uninformed about it or biased about it because it either didn't work for them or they just think it sounds kind of like woo-woo and weird. Again, that's just a bias. Or they just have an opinion that they can't seem to get around. Simple as that. And I wanted to end this video with something really juicy. This is something that so many skeptics ask me all the time when people say things like, well, if manifesting works, then why aren't you a billionaire? Or why don't you own 1 million houses? Or why haven't you been to outer space? I don't know. I'm just like making things up at this point. But you get what I'm saying. If manifestation works, then why don't you have this? I mean, none of these things are necessarily things that I want. But here's my answer. I'm a human being just like you. And every single day, I do the work required for manifestation. Manifestation is not just magic. I don't wave a wand and things appear. And really, the people who simplify manifestation to this outdated notion that it's all just based on thinking happy and then things just show up have done a major disservice to what this actually is. What I want and the things that I decide to manifest, they appear and they happen when I shift my energy, I shift my programming and decades of beliefs and biases to get into alignment with what it is that I want. Does that make sense? I have my own programming to work through, my own processes, and my own timeline. It's a daily practice of examining thoughts and focus over and over and over and over again, because what you focus on expands. So when I shift my focus on the assumption that what I want is definite and inevitable, it will always happen for me. But like I said, it comes back to constantly thinking it and living in that assumption. And for me personally, I really just trust the timing. I trust that what I want will show up in the right time, and I don't have to worry so much about it. I trust that there are outside forces and higher powers at play. The things that I manifest, they always show up, and I don't have to care about when or how, because that part doesn't matter. And in the meantime, I do the work, I take the inspired action when I feel called, and the rest works itself out. I focus on the outcome I want, and that's what expands. And like I said, I could go on and on and on and on and on about this topic, but I hope that this video provides clarity and provides facts behind such a misunderstood practice. The law of attraction isn't magic. It's not evil. It doesn't go against any religion. There's no spells or chants or anything strange. It's gotten this bad rap. But really, manifestation is simply brain science, quantum physics, energy. Most importantly, it's really simply just about your focus. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment below. I really do love hearing from you. I read through these comments all the time. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell notification so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. You can also find me over on Instagram and TikTok at MK Magic Mindset, where I share tons of daily affirmations, law of attraction resources, and so much more. And also be sure to check out my website, mkmagicmindset.com, where you can find more about me, my programs, my meditations, and trainings. And I will see you in the next one.